In 2011, a developer working out of his living room built a 2D world. No boundaries underground, no ceiling above, hundreds of items, dozens of bosses, infinite procedurally generated maps. He built it in a few months, he released it for $10, and it took over a decade later. And over a decade later, it has sold over 44 million copies. It has never had a single microtransaction. Every major update has been completely free. This is the story of Andrew Spinks, known to the world as Redigit, and how Terraria became one of the most enduring games ever made. Before Terraria, Andrew Spinks was known in a very specific corner of the internet. He was the lead developer of Super Mario Bros. X, a fan-made Mario game that combined elements from multiple Mario titles into one engine, built entirely by a small passionate community. It had no commercial backing, no Nintendo license, just a love of games and a talent for code. That project taught Spinks something important: you don't need permission to build something people love. In January 2011, he started a new project, something original, something he had been turning over in his mind: a 2D sandbox world where the player could dig anywhere, build anything and fight everything. He taught himself C# and worked in the LAXNA framework, building scrappy prototypes, shaping the core loop that would define the game: craft, explore, and survive. He called it Terraria. He worked out of his living room, a small team collaborating remotely. In those early months, it was essentially Redigit and a handful of testers, friends, and community members who believed in what he was doing. The pitch was 3 words: build, fight, explore. Simple, direct, unforgettable. From the moment Terraria was announced, one comparison followed it everywhere. It's just 2D Minecraft. It was lazy, it was reductive, and it missed the point entirely. Yes, both games let you mine, build, and craft, but where Minecraft leaned into open world creativity and 3D exploration, Terraria leaned into action, progression, and combat. Terraria has over 500 weapons, more than 20 major bosses encountered, biomes that transform as you progress, an underground jungle, a corruption, a crimson, a dungeon full of traps and skeletons, floating islands above the clouds, an entire hard mode that activates mid-game and reshapes the world difficulty from the ground up. Terraria isn't a Minecraft clone, it's a completely different type of experience, wearing similar clothes. Early reviews from PC Gamer and Rock Paper Shotgun highlighted the mix of exploration and boss fights and treated it like it was its own thing instead of a Minecraft copy. That language stuck. Interestingly, the game received attention early in development following a tweet from Minecraft creator Marcus Persson, which paradoxically helped introduce Terraria to the exact audience that would appreciate what made it different. Terraria was released on Steam for Windows on May 16, 2011. This was earlier than planned, since a beta version from a closed playtest has been leaked to the public. Despite the rushed launch, the game was an immediate hit. Players were captivated, not just by the content, but by the depth. A game that looked simple on the surface, reviewed. Layer after layer, the longer you played, hours became days and days became weeks. Then something unexpected happened. In February 2012, Spinks announced that Terraria would not have further content updates, so he could focus on his family. His second child had been born. His artist had moved on to another project. He was done. The community was heartbroken, but Redigit wasn't finished. Development resumed in 2013, with Spinks soliciting ideas from the community for future content updates. He came back, not because he had to, but because the game still had more to give, and became the community that had formed around Terraria deserved more. And because the community that had formed around Terraria deserved more. What followed was one of the most generous update cycles in gaming history. Over the next decade, Relogic released major content updates, each one adding so much content that the game players bought in 2011 barely resembled what it became. Update 1.1 added hard mode, a second phase of the entire game triggered by defeating the War of Flesh boss, which transformed the world, spawned new biomes, and unlocked a completely new tier of enemies, weapons, and bosses. Update 1.2 added over 1,000 new items, new biomes, new NPCs, new mechanics. Players who thought they had seen everything had to start again. Update 1.3 added the Moon Lord, a final boss so challenging it became a rite of passage for the community, along with expert mode, hundreds of new items, and full mod support through TE mod loader. And then came Journey's End Update 1.4, released on May 16, 2020, exactly 9 years after the original launch. Despite announcing that the Update 1.4 will be the final update for the game, Relogic has continued developing it. Redigit's own words say it's best. After 12 years, the game still sells like hotcakes. There is so much demand, it makes it hard to move on. The final update announcement has become a beloved running joke in the Terraria community. Nobody believes it anymore and nobody is complaining. All of these updates were released for free. Spinks described it as the right thing to do. Terraria is an outlier among the wider industry by not incorporating microtransactions to raise revenue. In an era of battle passes, loot boxes, and paid DLC, Redigit kept adding content for free for over a decade. The numbers tell one part of the story. From April 2020 to April 2022 alone, Terraria sales went from 30 million to 44.5 million sales. An average of 604,000 copies per month. A game released in 2011 still selling over 500,000 copies every month in 2022, over a decade after launch. That doesn't happen by accident. It happens when a developer keeps caring long enough after they needed to. But the legacy of Terraria isn't just in the sales figures. It's in the principles Relogic built the studio around. When Epic Games began luring developers to the Epic Games Store with exclusivity deals, Relogic's vice president, Andrew Spinks, said that no Relogic titles would ever become Epic Games Store exclusive, stating that the company would never sell its tools for any amount of money. When Google suspended Relogic's account without explanation in 2021, Spinks announced the cancellation of Terraria's Google Stadia version as a direct response. A small indie studio standing up to one of the largest corporations in the world on principle in public. These aren't just business decisions, they are character. The game's success enables Spinks to hire a team. As of 2025, Relogic comprises 11 people, with most of their staff having been hired from the community. The people who love the game became the people who built it. Terraria started as a man in his living room with a 3-word pitch and a borrowed framework. It became a world with no ceiling and no floor, where every player's experience is different and nobody has seen everything yet. Redigit could have stopped in 2012. The game was already a success. He came back. He could have charged for every update. The community would have paid. He didn't. He could have sold out to a platform, taking the money and moved on. He refused. Some developers build games. Redigit built something that outlasted every expectation, including its own. If the story inspired you, don't forget to like and subscribe and tell us how many hours that you have put in Terraria. Thanks for watching.